coming down towards the end of the stream, and it's been a fun show. I'm Ryan Feldman. This is Bart Hansen. You're watching 5100-200 here on Live at the Bike, High Stakes Friday. Jonathan's going to raise it up with pocket twos to 500, and Gary with pocket kings on the button. He's going to 3-bet.
Yep, 3-bet last hand with the ace-jack suited. Now he's going to 3-bet with pocket kings.
And Garrett, we don't know what he has yet, but he is thinking about it.
Re-raise, 6,100.
When you have pocket kings in position and Garrett 4-bets you, that is usually a dream spot.
But they are playing very deep, about 80,000 effective, so 400 big blinds.
Whoa!
Garrett's got aces.
Wow.
Oh,
This is epic.
what a last hand of the night here.
Pocket aces for Garrett, pocket kings for Gary. Button versus big blind situation, and remember, they had a memorable hand last week where Gary bluff shoved 45K on Garrett. And Gary just calls.
Yeah, Gary just calls. $9-6-4 with a couple of diamonds.
Oh man, this could get huge. We could potentially see 160K pot.
It's obviously going to depend on the run out.
Bet, 6,100.
How good is Gary to not 5-bet pre? You know, he's obviously doing it because he thinks he has the best hand here and he's trying to just protect his range, but in hindsight, this could save him some money by not 5-betting. 6,100 into
Just about half,
13.
Yeah, a little under half the size of the pot.
Gary should do nothing but call here.
Gary, the only one with a diamond in his hand. He does make the call. So a lot is going to depend on this turn card and how blank it is.
It's pretty blank. 2 diamonds, 2 hearts.
It's blank for what should be probably 3-bet and cold 4-bet ranges here.
And Garrett usually just goes for it here on 3 streets on these type of boards in this type of situation. Like, he's not one to pot control.
He's just thinking the guy is going to have a smaller overpair than I do.
And the thing is that Garrett bluffs so much, barrels so much, that he has to also go for thin value. So he oftentimes will just triple barrel, go for the maximum in these spots. Wow, he's reaching for a lot of chips. 25K in the middle.
Bet, 18,000.
Wow, 18,000 from Garrett.
So if Gary makes this call, and I assume that he's going to do nothing but just call, the pot will be 61,000 with about 48 or 49,000 left. Yeah.
So it's going to set up a perfect size for a river shove.
I mean, it's a large shove, but less than the size of the pot. You know?
Right. You always, when you have these situations, you always want to set it up so that you have a round pot or less than pot for your shove on the river.
Call.
The river's a 10, and it puts a one-liner out to a 7.
That's no fun for either player. And for Garrett to shove here, he would have to think that, or even to bet big, he'd have to think that Gary specifically has queens or jacks. Because you can only get value at this point from queens and jacks.
Or kings.
You would think.
Or kings.
Or, sorry, or kings,
Yeah.
sorry. Queens, jacks, or kings. From Gary's perspective, he can only get value from queens or jacks. Or a random bluff. So, what will...
It's a
Gary
really
do here?
interesting spot with these stack sizes because it almost seems like kind of a polarized river if he shoves, but he does have aces here, and he might get called by kings, queens, or jacks.
Right, so the thing is, Garrett has a sick image. And most players would just check here if they have Garrett's hand in this situation. But Garrett is capable of shoving here, which, like you said, would be a polarizing situation, and doing it and still getting value against queens, jacks, or kings because it's Garrett. But maybe he bets an amount that's not all in.
Bet. 30,000.
So he does do that. He, instead of shoving all in like he might have on a river, like a 4, for example,
Right.
he decides to bet 30, and knowing that Gary would never shove here over him unless Gary has it.
Yeah, but I mean, Gary only has 48. I mean, even if Gary shoved, is Garrett going to fold for an extra 18,000?
I think so. I think
pot would be 140, 18,000
Yeah,
to call.
but he knows that Gary's not going to bluff in that spot for 18K more.
I just think that this is sized down for value. I mean...
Yeah, he also just thinks it's easier to get called by worse if he doesn't shove. Right? Obviously, that's the main point of it. Can Gary get away from this? Keep in mind, this is the last hand of the stream. And if Gary does fold here, he books a win on the show of 18K still, despite losing this huge pot. If Gary calls here, this will be a $121,000 pot.
Gary with the king of diamonds obviously blocks some of the diamond draws that maybe Garrett would have to run a bluff across all the streets like an ace king of diamonds. He can't have that. Doesn't have a heart in his hand though. So if Garrett was running some sort of bluff where he picked up hearts, getting 3 to 1, so obviously needs to be good here. Is he good here 1 out of 4 times?
I just don't think on this texture, the way this hand played out, I just don't think there's many bluffs that Garrett can have here. I know it's easy to say when we see the cards, but can Gary even name a bluff in this spot?
It's not the absolute worst specific kings that he could have here. The worst would be if he had king of diamonds, king of hearts. That's a subtle thing because it blocks the draws. He only has the king of diamonds in his hand.
Blocks the backdoor hearts. Now, like, one of the few hands Garrett could triple barrel bluff with here is maybe like ace-3 of diamonds, ace-5 of diamonds, ace-deuce of diamonds, ace...
Remember, though, this is a cold 4-bet, too, so...
Ace-4 of diamonds.
I mean, it would just have to be...
It has to be one of those hands, right?
Crazy.
Like, those are likely hands. What other hand would he be bluffing with here?
But you just have to remember, though, he's not always going to be in there with a 4-bet with those hands. Like, you give him those hands, he's not going to 4-bet them.
always
He's going to be folding a lot pre-flop.
Exactly.
So, it's sort of a stretch, but...
I mean, king, queen...
Wow, what a laydown. What a laydown. That is unbelievable.
Great fold by Gary.
Not bad for a frog.